Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. In today's video, we're going to take a brief look at Neymar's overall performance against Manchester United and how Thomas Tuchel's tactical change at halftime helped Manchester United kill off the game. When we break down the game and we do look at the board, we have PSG starting in a 4-3-3, and we end up seeing United looking to play in a 3-4-1-2. Now, the reason why Solskjaer looked to play in a 3-4-1-2 was to disrupt PSG's midfield and look to break in transition with Martial and Rashford spinning into the channels. When we assess how United aimed to disrupt PSG from creating attacks, we ended up seeing United press from the front with the two forwards stepping to Diallo and Kimpembe and Bruno Fernandes stepping to Danilo. That meant that Fred and McTominay would step to Gay and Herrera, and then have Alex Telles and Wan-Bissaka push forward to close down the PSG fullbacks. PSG's attempt to close down Manchester United from the front was relatively similar. They had their front three closing down United's back three, with their fullbacks closing down Alex Telles and Wan-Bissaka, and then Danilo occupying Bruno Fernandes while Herrera and Gay push forward on McTominay and Fred. Ultimately, the game's main theme surrounded PSG's ability to break down United, and when you look at United's shape once again, they are defending with 5 men higher up the pitch, and it is shaped in more of a pentagon, and it was down to PSG to break that initial press to push forward. The manner in which Tuchel attempted to break down that shape was to have Gay and Herrera dropping off into the half spaces, which pushes the fullbacks forward to peg back Wan-Bissaka and Alex Telles. And that's when you see Di Maria and Neymar dropping off into deeper positions in that midfield zone to the right and left of McTominay and Fred to get on the ball. With PSG lacking any ball-playing midfielders or creative players in that midfield trio, Di Maria and Neymar were going to have to drop deeper to offer creativity for this PSG side. And the fact that they did look to drop off into that midfield zone did force Tuanzebe and Shaw's hand. They didn't want to drop off deeper, so the manner in which Solskjaer looked to combat that threat was to have Fred and McTominay shift over to apply pressure if Di Maria or Neymar looked to receive the ball in that central zone. In that opening half, we witnessed several occasions where Fred did a very good job of ensuring that Di Maria couldn't get onto his left foot when he dropped off Luke Shaw, but the issue that Manchester United encountered in that opening half was through Neymar dropping deeper and McTominay struggling to pick him up. When we look to the first example, we have Danilo poking the ball to Neymar dropping into a central position, and Wan-Bissaka opts to step out, and that's when we see Courtois storming forward and Neymar sliding the ball across Wan-Bissaka and McTominay stepping late down that left channel. And the only real issue that PSG have here is that their left fullback doesn't know whether to pass the ball to Mbappe or shoot, and he ultimately plays a tame pass that Tuanzebe does clear. If we look to another example, we witness Gay poking the ball towards the halfway line for Neymar, who's tracked by McTominay, and that's because we see Mbappe occupying Tuanzebe and Kurzawa pushing forward to peg back Wan-Bissaka. And Neymar ends up dribbling beyond that pressure from McTominay, shrugging him off the ball and splitting Tuanzebe and Wan-Bissaka for Di Maria aiming to run between Shaw and Lindelof, but Lindelof does a very good job to track it and force a Di Maria foul. Seconds later, we witnessed Courtois playing a ball across Wan-Bissaka for Neymar, shifting into that deep left channel role again, where he picks up the ball and skips by McTominay, and that's when we see Mbappe running across Lindelof into left half space. And with Tuanzebe and Fred stepping, Neymar slides the ball across Fred for Herrera, which pulls out Shaw, and Herrera slides the ball out to Di Maria ahead of Telles, and that's when we see Florenzi making an overlapping run, which allows Di Maria to cut onto his left foot and force De Gea into a quality save. There was a time where Gay stepped into McTominay's loose header, and it fell to Neymar, who scooped the ball over McTominay and forced the United midfielder to pull him back for a foul. Around the half-hour mark, we witnessed Herrera flicking Diallo's clearance over McTominay for Neymar free between the lines, and he shifts towards the left channel ahead of Wan-Bissaka into United's half to play the ball across Tuanzebe for Mbappe sprinting down the left touchline. This places Mbappe in a legitimate goal-scoring position, but he ends up taking a big first touch across Tuanzebe into left half space to try and break goal side of the United defender, but he's brushed off the ball. Shortly after that, we witnessed Navas rolling the ball out between Wan-Bissaka and Fred for Neymar between the lines, and Neymar simply turns and dribbles into United's half, forcing McTominay to shift over, and with both the recovering McTominay and Wan-Bissaka making a slide tackle, they end up taking out Neymar and McTominay ends up being booked. Now we'll look to a time where Neymar actually creates an overload for his teammates. We have Gay sliding the ball across Fred to Neymar, who drops into his own half, and he ends up dragging out Wan-Bissaka, and Neymar does well to hold off Wan-Bissaka's pressure, and while Wan-Bissaka's pressure does force Neymar to play the ball out wide to Courtois, it does create a 2v1 situation with Mbappe ahead of Tuanzebe. The issue that PSG encounter here is that they should push forward quickly to take advantage of that 2v1, but Courtois takes his time to play the ball out to Mbappe, and that allows McTominay time to shift across to provide adequate cover. We could see Neymar picking up the ball at the halfway line from Kimpembe, and he's closed by McTominay, and he ends up playing a quick 1-2 around McTominay with Mbappe dropping off to Tuanzebe, and Neymar ends up breaking forward at Lindelof. But once we see Fred shifting across and United's backline doing a good job of shielding out that space for Mbappe, we end up seeing Neymar slip. And if we look to one final example, we witness Kimpembe sliding the ball out to Neymar again, dropping into a deep inside left position to get on the ball, and he attempts to slide it in between Wan-Bissaka and Tuanzebe for Mbappe, darting between Lindelof and Tuanzebe, but the pass was slightly overhit. While PSG weren't great in that opening half, Neymar was able to cover their lack of creativity in that midfield with his deep positioning. But in the second half, with Idrissa Gueye unable to continue, we ended up seeing Tuchel shift to a 4-2-3-1 by introducing Moise Kean, rather than looking to bring on another midfielder in Rafinha. Now, the issue with this was that now with PSG in a 4-2-3-1, you have 4 attacking players pushing higher up the pitch, which should free up space for Mbappe and Neymar, but with the fullbacks also pushing high, that leaves huge gaps in the channels for Martial and Rashford to break into. Going forward, however, with Mbappe and Di Maria holding the touchline higher up the pitch, that did peg back the United wingbacks, and it ended up seeing United predominantly in a 5-2-3, and at times they did look like a 5-2-1-2. And in the opening stages of that half, Neymar was still able to influence the game from those deeper areas. There was a time where he ended up picking up the ball ahead of McTominay at the halfway line and drifting by him towards the box to slide the ball wide to Mbappe, placing him in a legitimate goal-scoring position where he's able to take on Wan-Bissaka and cut central to McTominay's pressure, and then break back into the box to force De Gea into a quality save. We saw Di Maria initially ahead of McTominay, cut back across Bruno Fernandes and slide the ball across Bruno Fernandes and Fred for Neymar in a pocket of space, and Neymar slid the ball across a stepping Tuanzebe and Wan-Bissaka for Mbappe in left half space, but his low cross was cleared by Lindelof. We witnessed Neymar not close tight by Rashford, clipping a ball over Fred for Courtois in left half space, and with Tuanzebe coming across to the byline, we witnessed the PSG left back lob an effort over De Gea and off the crossbar. There was a time where Di Maria dropped into an inside right position to pull out Shaw, and he cut across the United left center back and McTominay to slide the ball across Fred for Neymar, who lays the ball back to Di Maria breaking forward, and that allowed Di Maria to scoop the ball over Tuanzebe for Mbappe running across Wan-Bissaka in left half space across Lindelof into the box. But that's when we end up seeing Mbappe's shot blocked by a last-ditch Wan-Bissaka tackle. And as we hovered around that 15-minute mark in that second half, it was Di Maria ahead of McTominay splitting the United midfield for Neymar running off Fred to shift laterally between the lines. And when Neymar received the ball ahead of Lindelof, he backheeled it between Fred's legs for Di Maria, who slides the ball across Wan-Bissaka because Mbappe was running off him, and it falls into an unmarked Courtois in left half space, but his ball across Wan-Bissaka for Mbappe was behind him, and Shaw was able to clear it. While Neymar did experience a spell where he struggled to influence the game due to United's midfield's pressure, we did nearly see him give PSG all 3 points. We ended up seeing Rafinha free in midfield, splitting McTominay and Pogba for Neymar between the lines, and Neymar was able to turn and run at the United backline, but he fired a powerful effort at David De Gea. As stated earlier, the downfall to PSG's tactical shift was the fact that now there was space in the channels for United to break into, and they consistently did that in that second half. And the game took a slight shift when Solskjaer shifted to a 4-3-1-2 midfield diamond, and that ultimately forces Neymar to now have to play a midfield role that he wasn't comfortable doing. The other key factor to United's tactical shift was now they did have cover out in the wider areas if PSG looked to push their fullbacks forward. We witnessed Pogba and Fred shifting out into those wider areas if the fullbacks look to push forward, and now United were in full control of that midfield zone. Now, the way that PSG could combat that is having Neymar sitting on McTominay and having Di Maria tucking in narrow to deal with either Bruno Fernandes or Pogba shifting out into that left shuttling role. Nevertheless, United still relied on breaking into the channels from PSG mistakes in midfield, and that resulted in some of their better chances outside of the goals. If we look to one final example, it's Wan-Bissaka stepping to Rafinha's loose pass before Courtois, which sets Rashford free, and he slides the ball across Rafinha and Kimpembe for Bruno Fernandes running off Danilo into right half space. And this pullback hits off Diallo and falls beyond Danilo into Rashford, who fires a low effort on goal that Navas pushes away. Hi everybody, thanks for watching, and subscribe here for your latest tactical analysis and daily commentary on the Interview show. And if that wasn't enough, don't forget you could find more organic, unfiltered soccer/football analysis on the Interviews podcast, the best soccer/football podcast in the world, available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and any Android apps on your Android devices.